following episode of Death Stranding is basically going to be an audiobook. So we're reading through the files. So we're going to have some fun discussions. And we're going to talk about the files we're reading. And we're going to, reflect on what they mean. But there's not going to be a whole lot of trucking in this episode. So do bear that in mind as you continue on through this LP. Thank you very much for your patronage.
You want to check out your emails?
Yes.
All
Which
right.
should now be legible without struggle.
Holy moly. So we have to start from the bottom, I think, right? From Victor Frank? Order?
Yes, from 12.
Smart. Holy moly. Okay. Victor Frank, reestablishing shipping lanes. How's it going, Sam? So you put Port North City back on the map. Not bad. Folks around here seem pretty pumped about becoming part of the UCA and all that comes with it. Carol printers especially. You should have seen their faces when I gave them a demo. It was like I was conjuring equipment out of thin air. Oh, and before I forget, I should also thank you for all the stuff you've brought. And for taking care of that BT too. You've given everyone a shot of inspiration and courage to carry on. And there's not much that's more precious than that these days. There was a time when I was so shit scared of BTs that I just wanted to shut myself away and hide forever. But that's not an option. I know that now. We're on the front line here. Bridges isn't going to make it all the way west if we don't step up our game. But don't worry, we won't let you down. We'll get Port North City back on its feet in no time. I won't take up any more of your time. That's all I had to say. Anyway, a couple of the guys wanted me to write to you to make sure that you knew we had your back. Come what may, we won't be throwing in the towel. Same goes for you, right? Thumbs up.
The thing about risking yourself in BT territory is that it's not just your own fear. It's fear of causing a fucking explosion that wipes out the entire surrounding area. So it's a little bit more than just your own responsibility.
That might be a thing, yeah.
The man who delivers, I'm sorry. Sam, first off, sorry for calling you a newbie last time. You're Sam Bridges, a frickin' living legend. There I was talking to you like it was your first day on the job. Dead man was none too happy about me treating you like this was your first rodeo. Man, do I feel like a dumbass. This is fake messages that Kojima wants to imagine people who are would be nice to each other in this way. Who says sorry online? Who apologizes? That's crazy. No one apologizes. This is video games. This is video games, man.
This is as fake as it can get.
If you're the one helping us expand the network from coast to coast, we're in safe hands for sure. Guess the day America rises from the ashes might not be so far off after all. So you're a member of Bridges before you were a porter. And you're now back with the shit after, what, 10 years? Suppose that means you outrank me, though. I reckon you're not the type to care about all that. Out of curiosity, you've been using your private room to kick back and relax while listening to music? The director asked us to hook you up with some tracks from Low Roar. Said there's no better way to unwind after a hard day. I checked him out myself, and I have to say he knows what he's talking about. Really got the juices flowing. Oxytocin, too. Favorite track's called Pop Virus, and I think you might like it, too. Apparently, it's about a virus that destroys everything people think they know about music, allowing something completely new to be created in its place. Kind of like what you're doing with America, right? Taking a busted foundation and rebuilding it to make something better in the long run. Give it a listen when you have a chance. Wow.
All right, remaking what is music.
Pop Virus.
Yep. Eating up the Miley Cyruses of our world. All right.
I mean, of all the... That's where you go with it?
She's not pop? You're going to tell me it's too old now?
No, I wouldn't have put the crosshairs there.
I see.
Put them on fucking BTS or some shit.
Wait, BTS is chill?
I don't know.
Stop hating!
You like K-pop?
I don't even like K-pop that much.
You stan K-pop?
BTS, I'm like, they got swag.
You know their music?
I know a few songs, like, I'm so sick of this fake love. Fake love.
Boy with Love, yeah. L-U-V.
I want to be a good boy for you.
Wow,
anyway.
You can't see the moves, you guys.
Thank God you can't.
Choreographed.
But yeah, it's catchy and they work well. Like, somebody was telling me that their production is actually off the hook. I was like, I don't care about K-pop. And I heard some things, I was like, Okay, they work well.
Wow.
They work
There
well.
we
This
go.
transcends languages.
Reggie stands.
But I don't know that much about them. I just have like a few songs on my Spotify. Anyway.
Reggie stands. Bing. Jae Woong. Or I don't know.
I don't even know their names.
There's a bunch of them. There's many names.
Yeah, they're always 40 in these bands.
Take a random Korean sounding name and just go, we stand whatever.
Park Jae-hyun.
But yeah,
there
sure,
you go.
Sure. Chan-woo Park.
That's my boy. Benny Hancock, The Meaning of Chirality. Dear Sam, sorry you had to go through the trouble of chasing down that part for us, but believe me, you've done us a great service. Thanks to you, our Carol printer's finally up and running. Didn't think it would ever happen, if I'm honest, but it did, and now we don't have to rely on porters as much as before. We can make a lot of what we require with our printer. And if we need intel on the outside world, it's right there at our fingertips. On behalf of myself and everybody else here at the Distro Center, thanks. None of this would have been possible without you. Funny story, the other day I was using the network to read up on the word carol and where it comes from. Turns out it's Greek, means hand.
Hand!
Bet you didn't know that, did you? The text went on about how your right hand is a mirror image of your left, but if you only put your palms out together, and if you point them away and lay one hand on top of another, well, that's chirality. That's how I understood it anyhow. What has it got to do with the network? I'm not really sure. Something about routing communications to the beach, which is basically another world like ours, but not really. So when you force elements of the two into contact, that triggers a void out. Anyway, all I know is that while I hope you keep doing on what you do to bring us together, you'd best leave the dead out of it, you hear?
What is that? What emoji is that?
It seems like...
a whale? Is that a whale with teeth? Is that a big dead whale with teeth?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
Well,
okay.
Good enough. Whale emoticon.
Wonderful.
I hope it doesn't have some kind of weird, new meaning.
Whales are scary in this game. Why would you be using a whale BT as an emoji?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Maybe it means something. I can't even enjoy eggplants in peace anymore.
Thanks for the Ludens, man. Be sure to check out the Game Awards. You're the best, Sam. You brought me something one of a kind, a Luden figurine signed by none other than the creator himself. Try printing that with a Carol printer. The one you've got is pretty cool, but this, it's a national treasure. A national treasure, Ludens, the Japanese skeleton man from Japan.
Yeet.
Legend has it these Ludens figures figured prominently in one of the creator's games, the pre-Stranding humans, Homo sapiens. Wait, we're not Homo sapiens anymore?
We're Homo sapiens sapiens, I think.
Was that one of the earlier interviews?
There was another term that they used, I think. No?
We are beyond Homo sapien now? In this post-Stranding world? Everyone has... If you access the beach, if you find out about the beach and are able to access it, you're no longer Homo sapien? Wow. Okay. That's a huge assumption, but... the Ludens figure prominently in one of the creator's games, pre-Stranding humans, Homo sapiens, were obsessed with them, you know. It was through these works that they reached the next level and became Homo Ludens.
Yeah.
Apparently, what they played weren't games in the usual sense, but since they aren't around anymore, we might never know what exactly that means, Sweat. But these Ludens figures, they were the symbols of one game in particular, and I guess you could say that by collecting these figures, I'm playing the game of my own. I'm playing a game of my own. Homo Ludens.
There you have it.
What the fuck are you talking about, Jeff? Is that all it takes? One event? The second explosion?
William Lake. About the preppers. We made rounds of the local preppers when I first arrived here with Bridges 1. There should be some interviews floating around that the records team transcribed. Take a look if you get a chance. We were mainly sounding out the situation on the ground and trying to convince them to join the UCA, of course. But we already suspected they weren't the type to follow the herd. Why else would they be out here? Still, we found the odd community-minded soul among them. Not all were holed up in shelters by choice. Some were running from something. Others had just been born into the life. Getting the few we did to throw their lot in with the UCA was a pain in the ass, though. Didn't help that the Carol network wasn't up and running back then either. All we could do was put the parts in place and promise that they were going to work someday. And now they finally do, thanks to you. Could be the skeptics might finally come around that we can show as well as tell. You keep up the good work, you hear? Get us all back on the grid. Thank you.
Thanks again, Sam. You really came through for us today. Now you can tell me to mind my business if you like, but I couldn't help but notice that you've been getting better delivery evaluations lately. It looks like you know what you stand to gain if you go the extra mile, or do you? The Bridges evaluation system will see you properly rewarded for providing that extra bit of service to make people happy. Speaking of happy, I just remembered the time you first came here after crossing Ground Zero. True, successfully delivering cargo to its destination is your job, first and foremost. But people are demanding. They don't just want to sit. They don't want their shit carried from A to B. They want a little more, special treatment, something that puts a smile on their face. I get it. It's a lot more for work for you, tracking down all the lost cargo, returning items to their rightful owners, and it's not really part of the job description either. But you better get used to it, because their standards are changing, and people are only going to expect more from their porters. Anyway, it's usually worth your while. Going above and beyond is a good way to rack up plenty of likes. And hell, sometimes you'll even doing it without them even realizing you did. I'm serious. Next time you complete an order, take a closer look at your results. See if there isn't a symbol next to your likes which indicates that you got them from performing optional extras. You might be surprised. It may seem like a hassle right now, Sam, but you can never have too many likes.
Like.
I just want my stuff to show up when they say it's going to.
Why join the UCA? You still out there fighting the good fight, kiddo? I tip my hat to you for that. And for bringing an old curmudgeon in his medicine. I'm doing a whole lot better for it. Much obliged. So in exchange for signing a contract with Bridges, I get meds and supplies delivered to my doorstep? That's no different from the deal I had with Fragile Express. And while I may not have full use of this here network of yours, I can access the weather data and news I need to make life easier than before. All that without my having to join the UCA. So what incentive is there to do so?
So is Bridges a government-run organization, or is it a private organization? Sounds like it's government-run based on the origin of the beginning of the game. Seems like it's a federal organization.
And that would be different from Fragile altogether.
Who's private?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah. As much government as it possibly could be.
Yeah, at this point in time.
Given the first mission is to dump her fucking corpse in the flame pit.
S-class yo mama.
Humble request for pizza. Dear Mr. Sam Bridges, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Peter Englert. After hearing so very much about you, good, I hasten to add, I simply could not resist the urge to initiate a correspondence. My request is of such great import that I dare entrust it only to the man who delivers. My sister, bless her heart, has been feeling under the weather, and I fear that it is only one thing that might restore color to her cheeks: pizza. I wonder if you might be so kind as to collect some from Lake Knot City and deliver it to our humble abode. I am more than aware of the gravity of the urgency of your westward journey. If you could find it in your heart to squeeze this in, I'd be ever so grateful. Oh, my dear sister is something of a ham lover. Please bear in mind if you decide to oblige me. Thank you.
Ham. The engineer. The commencement of Evo-Devo unit testing. I know it can't be easy out there on your own, Sam, but we need you to stay strong. I started on a few experiments with the Evo-Devo unit you brought me. So far, things are going pretty well. I'm not quite at a stage where I can perfectly recreate objects, but I suspect that's only because the chiral network's coverage is still limited. The more places you bring online, the better my results, most likely. Anyway, I'll be submitting regular reports on my progress to Bridges. Rest assured, I'll keep at it. Incidentally, I've taken an interest in the Ultra deck lately. These days, people tend to associate them with BBs or think of them as BT detectors, but they were originally designed as more all-purpose scanners for the detection of people and various objects. Seems they've undergone quite a few changes over the years. By all accounts, many of the original features were cut at some point. One such feature would allow users to project holograms, which could be pretty useful. and another would utilize chiral connections to reconstruct past data for present-day applications. I don't believe these features are lost forever, though. If we keep expanding the network, someone's bound to take the initiative and create new and improved versions of them. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time, Sam. We should catch up in person one day. No?
Expanding the network. Mules, heroes or villains? Really? Hey Sam, how's that bola gun working out for you? Putting it to good use yet? So I've come up with a few more ideas for new gadgets since we last spoke. The chiral network made it so much easier to share data, you can fabricate stuff pretty much anywhere. In fact, I might ask you to test them out for me sometime. It's in your interest too. Well, with you having to go up against mules and whatever other crazies are out there. But you do have to throw down. Remember that mules used to be just like you. They're reporters when the worlds went to hell. People just trying to be people, trying to help people. And all that chaos and confusion would have been hailed as heroes if they hadn't gone batshit. And that's what most people think, me included. Though I heard it might not be that simple. It might be that they started out as smugglers, and that's why they can navigate all the kinds of hard country. Guys like that, well, something tells me that they wouldn't be altruists at heart. Guess there's no way of knowing the truth now. Anyway, Sam, I doled out a few of those hematic grenades you brought me to some of the local porters, along with some blood bags. If they work as advertised, our people might just be able to stand up to BTs if necessary. Could be a new beginning for the whole community.
Cheers. Peter Englert. Heartfelt expression of gratitude. My dear Mr. Bridges, I must applaud you on a job exquisitely executed. I'm given to understand that the piece in question arrived in impeccable condition. Marvelous. Alas, I must also apologize on behalf of my sister. She was asleep when you arrived, you see. As for myself, I was out and about attending to private matters that demanded my utmost attention, but I am on my way home as I write. I would have very much preferred to thank you face to face, but on this occasion, you will have to forgive me.
Man, I have delivered pizza to an empty fucking house, bro.
Yeah, that's sad.
Didn't feel good. You gonna get more mule apologies from me, Craftsman? You beat the mules without killing anyone? Dear Sam, our local mule chapter hasn't been causing any trouble of late, and I guess that must be down to the lesson you taught them. Look, I know those guys are just victims, really, what with their obsessive compulsions or whatever, but the fact is they make life difficult. Someone had to confront them, and that's just what you did. Hats off to you, Sam.
Nice.
How about my old tool, by the way? Did it come in handy? I guess it must have done, if you managed to get these here without killing anybody.
Wow.
I guess people just fucking shoot mules, and that's how that's how that was done, huh?
Get off my property.
Then again, getting wrapped up with Ebola, as opposed to getting fucking clocked with a briefcase.
That is so amazing.
Let's be real. That is potentially lethal.
Thomas Sutherland, the bots are here, but is that for the best? Sam, that bot you brought us, it's a real piece of work. Takes everything into account, cargo type, terrain, and calculates the quickest route every time. And if it does happen to run into a BT, there's no Vortite to worry about. If we can teach it how mules operate, it might even be able to anticipate their movements and avoid them too. Which means all the risks in using human porters, the dangers you and yours face every day, well, they could be a thing of the past. Might not be a need for you to put your life on the line any longer. Time to start planning for the easy life, eh? But is it for the best, I wonder, leaving everything to the bots? Isn't that what led to drone syndrome and all that? Better to keep people involved in some respect, maybe. Same with cars. Back in the days, everyone was all about self-driving vehicles. But if you ask me, a human hand ought to always be on the wheel. Am I right?
I just thought of something.
Yes.
In a world where timefall existed and BTs existed, why would life not move underground? Why wouldn't we be drilling from city to city and just living completely under the earth as we do here in the core of Montreal? We live there's an underground city in Montreal, and there's parts of Tokyo that are blocks and blocks and blocks of mall underground. Okay. I feel like we could 100% avoid those two threats by just entirely avoiding the surface of the planet.
I wonder if the BTs can reach, though. Is underground considered part of the beach?
I don't. Well, the beaches are a hypothetical other area, right? But all of the buildings, for example, every time we go into a bunker, every time we make a safe house, it's underground.
They're all deeper, yeah.
So why don't we just drill
and go there
and drive and connect strands underground and fuck the surface? The surface is dead. It's raised earth, you know, and we have all these underground safe houses. Let's just tunnel.
Makes deliveries harder though and less fun.
I'm just trying to figure out why it hasn't been.
It's all about the overland delivery.
Bring me my Timefall Porter. Thanks for delivering the bots, Sam. I heard you were headed to the Timefall farm down, by the way. Don't know if you heard, but the rumor has it that they've been brewing beer. Hey! Maybe even using Timefall to speed up the process. Oh!
Interesting.
Speed up that beer.
Yo, the fermentation. Let's go.
I'd sure like to have a taste of True. They joined the Chiral network. I wouldn't be able to place an order with them, would I? Wouldn't I? Of course. If you can't print beer, so I'll have to rely on you to get it here. Pity the bots won't be able to enjoy it with me, but hey, I guess it's a privilege only humans can enjoy. Am I right? Anyway, I'm counting on you. That's pretty interesting. That means though that they're not collecting the water that the Timefall drains. They're letting the rain accelerate the fermentation process. That's complicated. I don't know. How do you expose it? Because you're adding water that adds time, but you're adding water, so you're diluting the beer in the acceleration of its, you know?
Oh, but it's probably not like raw beer. I mean, you need the water to ferment
hops.
With the hops and everything.
But what I mean is Timefall turns into normal water when it hits the ground.
Yeah, when it stops moving.
It's only when it touches that it accelerates. So the falling to touch process has to be part of the beer.
Yeah, so how do they do Timefall water?
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, this one too. Chop chop, Sam. People get tired of waiting. What kind of porter grades are you getting these days, Sam? It can't be easy trying to stand out in all those categories. Cargo condition, cargo quantity, delivery volume, bridge links, and all that stuff. Couldn't manage it myself. I'd throw my hands up in frustration. I've got one piece of advice for you. Focus on speed. That's the most important thing when it comes to making deliveries after all. How to improve it though, that's the question. You probably know this already, but in case you don't, there's one simple way you can improve your speed. Take the shortest route.
Roads.
Unless, that is, an area's infrastructure means that a longer, less direct route will get you there faster. Not so simple after all, eh? You probably got a feel for picking efficient routes already, though. Most porters with your experience out to. By the way, if you're already feeling confident about how quickly you can make deliveries, why not try your hand at setting a premium delivery record? You might even enjoy it. Oh, and it's not just your clients who will be happy if you up your delivery speed. Your body will too. As it goes stronger, you'll have more stamina and be able to hold your breath for longer. All sorts of good stuff. Keep at it, Sam. You're going to be the top-ranked porter out there in no time. I just know it.
Okay.
That's it for that. What about them interviews? All right, got one right here.
The Symbiotic Surveillance Society. The SSS. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them.
That's better than 2.
It's better than 2.
Less confusing than 1.
And they're not Ks. In the world before the Stranding, online service industry was huge, probably the biggest of them all. People wanted their lives to be smooth and stress-free, and countless companies were happy to oblige. Customers would provide information about themselves, browsing history, purchasing history, that kind of thing.
Oh boy.
And in return, they'd get a pleasant, personalized internet experience.
Ugh.
Pleasant, you say. It wasn't anything like the dystopian surveillance state people used to worry about in the 20th century. Predictive advertising, customized health tips, that sort of thing.
Oh.
The internet transformed our lives, and in many ways for the better, but not everyone was happy. People started to worry that it was encroaching on people's freedoms, that the price we paid for so much convenience was constant monitoring and abdication of control. We had become members of a symbolic surveillance society. Naturally, there are people who have similar concerns about the Chiral network. There's a pretty sizable faction that wants nothing to do with it whatsoever. That said, I can't help but feel like they're being naive. There's no such thing as free lunch. Fuck. The scrolling text has now... Anyway. Connectivity and convenience have to come at a price. What's more, the stakes are a whole lot higher nowadays. We're not talking about a simple trade-off between privacy and convenience. It's a network or bust, survival or extinction as far as humanity is concerned. That's an interesting take on it.
You need it. That's what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Being alone is not an option.
Yes. Be monitored or die.
Being sad and alone. But remember, you have all the food and resources you need. You can hide in your bunker forever, but loneliness is going to get you like a parakeet.
The Evo Devo unit from Hartman 1 year ago. It seems a rather significant breakthrough has been achieved back at the headquarters. They've successfully integrated an Evo Devo unit into a Carol printer. In case you're not familiar with the term, Evo Devo refers to evolutionary developmental biology. Your genes, mouse genes, dinosaur genes, the genes of every living being are visually identical, and yet we develop into such radically different organisms. Thus, a question arises. Why did such disparate life arise from the self-same building blocks? Evo Devo was the field of study that sought to solve that mystery, to lay bare the secrets of evolution. Before the advent of Evo Devo, it was thought that in order to reconstruct a dinosaur, we would require a sample of its DNA. However, thanks to this technology's ability to extrapolate from existing data, we could, with the correct stimulus, grow a dinosaur from the DNA of any living organism. We could, in essence, recreate the process by which dinosaurs evolved from primeval life form. Primeval life forms. An Evo Devo unit applies the same principles to the problem of information and object reconstruction. With the help of the Carol network, we may take incomplete data and indeed incomplete objects and reproduce their complete forms. This data can be fed into a Carol printer, et voila! Partial data yields finished product. The tech isn't viable for everyday use just yet, but when it is, it will be of incalculable benefit to our research and bring our reconstruction efforts forward by a matter of decades.
I'm still thinking about mastering the tech that is timefall into growing things.
Yeah.
Growing a tree, planting crops, anything that you want time to accelerate. Anything plant-based. Basically, or that's and I mean, fuck, like, why can't you grow an embryo by pouring timefall on it?
Yeah,
right.
Creepy. Well, they're working on that Edo Tensei pretty well. Partial DNA, we're good.
Higgs particles, Higgs Monahan. Why, yes, I know the name. The former leader of the private courier organization, as I recall, which served a large region of the West. It was instrumental in providing continued support to the people living there. But we were so far apart, bridges struggled to maintain any measure of influence over their operations. It probably didn't help that the separatist movement has always enjoyed strong support in their territory. In the wake of growing violence by the demons, we were shocked to learn that Higgs himself was their head. This is what is to make of this strange development. Why on earth would a man who once commanded a group devoted to American Reconstructionism suddenly pledge himself to the cause of American deconstruction? Destruction. His name only compounds the insult. Have you heard of the Higgs particle, also known as the God particle? Yes, I have. It is associated with the Higgs field, which is what gives all other particles their mass. Without it, atoms would fly apart, and matter would not exist as we know it. In other words, its very presence prevents the mindless destruction. Cosmic irony, indeed. Are we going to meet Boson?
The boson?
I wonder if we're going to meet Boson.
Carol clouds and timefall. 2 years ago, Hartman. Why do Carol clouds form? Why does timefall occur? And why does it herald the manifestation of BTs? These are questions we still struggle to answer. As we know now, BTs are being formed of something akin to antimatter. Their first appearance coincided with the Death Stranding. Prior to that point, it is believed that there was very little in the way of antimatter present in our world at all, but we've since learned that this was far from the case. For even before the Stranding, antimatter was all around us. I discovered a scientific paper on the subject titled On Antimatter and Clouds. According to the paper, the gamma radiation generated by lightning strikes can trigger the formation of positrons, and indeed, particles of antimatter can be detected inside regular rain clouds. The mechanism by which they are formed is not fully understood, but the mere existence of this phenomenon is enough to suggest something intriguing. Chiral clouds contain chiralium, yes? Well, what would happen if gamma radiation were to act upon them in the same way as it does in regular clouds? Could chiralium excited by gamma radiation exacerbate minute distortions in space-time, somehow loosening the seams that connect us to our beaches? And if so, when the excited chiralium mixes with a timefall and descends to the ground below, could the entire region beneath the clouds become much more strongly connected with the beach as a result? This goes with your digging in the ground stuff a bit, no?
No. But continue.
No, not at all. This could well explain why BTs appear in areas prone to timefall. Furthermore, if the antimatter we previously thought did not even exist in any measurable quantity on Earth were in fact present in such commonplace phenomena as the very clouds above us, would this not lend credence to the theory that BTs, beaches, the world of the dead, all of these things may have existed long before the Stranding? Too much of a theoretical leap? Perhaps. I do not deny our world changed drastically and irrevocably. Nevertheless, could it not be that the Death Stranding was merely the clap of thunder that brought us this great change to our attention, and not the change itself?
Okay. So this is a really important one, obviously. Now, there's been who was it? Was it Edison that said something? Or there was an inventor. And I don't know who it was that's attributed the quote that basically says something to the effect of, so basically that like everything that can be invented already exists. It's just bringing it out. You know what I mean? It's almost like pulling its existence out of the air in a way, out of necessity, right? In the same way that it's like, okay, it's all these things that are happening in this game. There's a common thread we're seeing in a ton of these interviews and emails, which basically is that all of this stuff already existed. We don't know how the BBs work, but it seems like everything about this already exists. This is all shit that was there, right? And they even went back to ancient Egypt on some of those earlier ones, right?
Yeah, with the Ha and the Ka.
That's totally fine. And that is to be expected almost. It's not that something came in and added new plays to the game. It's that like our ability to recognize that those things are there was discovered, right? But that's not explaining the part that like understanding that like something like chiralium already existed / all these other elements that came into play and beaches were always there is not the problem as much as it is what caused it to change its obviousness to us, right? And and I'm looking at this description of chiral clouds in Timefall, for example, and I'm like, oh, that's not satisfying enough, right? Because I understand the ingredients of how you mix one with the other and the other, and like now we know that like chiralium as a single element is able to extrapolate its existence into all these different forms, right? So we are seeing everything in this game, almost everything in this game is basically a chiralium plus this element of society or life or the planet equals this new result.
Okay.
You know? And if Timefall is the result of exactly that, right? Now it's all like, okay, great. So the real mystery just comes down to what and where this chiralium comes from and how it's come to be such a constant, you know? Because if they're able to scientifically explain that, like, the reason why we see a BT is because we are that area is somewhat more connected to the beach. The reason why it's more connected to the beach is because timefall is affecting that. The reason why timefall is happening is because of the chiralium clouds, right? It's going back to the same source point.
Okay.
Our ability to go to beaches, our ability to like even recognize that they're there, all that stuff links to chiralium, right? Our ability to share information at this perfect speed and or essentially teleport and transport things by having all these beaches interconnected. Again, it's like chiralium represents the access point of that. It's even used for the roads, for example, to be durable against the rain and things like that. So the mystery of this one item in the world is basically it's the one big question mark, and everything else leading up to it is probably going to be just like, yeah, well, we took sugar and salt and poured it on chiralium and got this new result from it. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I mean?
Okay, I think I follow. Yeah.
It's the. So I'm looking for another analogy in modern life where the moment you realize this exists, that you can start thinking about how to apply it. And I can't pull a decent enough analogy because, like, things that
I mean, like, technically, like, when they managed to, like, harness the power of electricity, that gave way to a lot more.
It did.
To the point where it was almost like it was taken for granted.
But you weren't
electricity is
right. But you didn't go back and then insert electricity into other aspects of life that where it didn't exist, or like use it to explain things. It explained lightning.
Yeah.
Right. But and it explains magneticism, electromagnetism. But like there's not a ton that you could apply that to in the natural world.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from? Like in the natural world, you don't get a ton of that per se.
Yeah.
Salt is one that applies to us, that applies to the natural world, that affects things in different ways and dries out the earth if it makes things unable to grow, if it's in certain areas. Too much salt concentrated in a particular patch of earth will literally change it from healthy living soil into dry, like unlivable earth. There's all kinds, and then salt as it affects oceans will create saltwater oceans versus freshwater. You know what I mean? Like salt as an item suddenly changes a lot of things once you identify what it is. Sodium, particularly, I guess I should say. Well, then you go back and look and go, oh, that water and that water are different. And we didn't know why they were different, but now we know they're different because we know this isolated thing. And then you can also add that to your food and add some flavor to it. And we know that your body needs to carry some of it. And it affects taste, and it affects like things and the ability for life to grow, and it can melt ice. Like there's all these little things that come from identifying the natural item that is sodium in a way. Right?
So in this case,
NaCl,
yeah,
being pieced together was like a solution that it was always there, but we were able to isolate it. So chiralium, in some ways, is gonna like a lot of the tech and mystery that we're seeing will likely be linked to that. I'm gonna hedge my bet in that direction. So the real thing is just like, where the fuck is it actually coming from, and why did it suddenly become something that now more than ever is popping up?
Okay,
that's my question. That's my thought. Interesting. The chiral network 2.
Oh.
In a way, the chiral network makes use of the beach to allow us to travel through time. See, yeah, exactly, right? Anything that once you're fucking with time, it's like the rules are almost open-ended in a way, where you're like, yeah, those wacky-ass, crazy, unfathomable effects are just time fuckery, but time fuckery is what happens when this element comes into play. I don't know what what explains the upside down rainbows, though, but whatever.
Yeah.
In a way, the chiral network makes use of the beach to allow us to travel through time. See, sending large amounts of data takes large amounts of time, as you'd expect, but the thing about beaches is, well, that time doesn't pass in the same way as it does out here. Might not even pass at all. Think about how light from the stars in the sky we see was produced thousands and thousands of years ago. Routing the data through to the beach is like jumping to a point earlier in that journey, thereby cutting it shorter. Much shorter. Imagine. Massive amounts of data transferred almost instantaneously. That's what we're trying to achieve with the chiral network, in a nutshell. In theory, the network allows us to reconstruct old data that would otherwise be lost, and do so with fragmented resources. Using what's known as Evo-Devo analysis, we could take the finger bone of a dinosaur, say, and extrapolate from that not only the dinosaur's form, but its composition, internal, external, and even its thought process to a degree. Anything is possible with chiral computing. In other words, we won't be able to reunite a nation, We'll be able to reclaim everything we lost in the Death Stranding. More even, theoretically, if we could go back as far as the birth of the planet and beyond. And thanks to the beach, we're able to compile all that data into one place and reduce the processing time for even the most complex analyses to effectively zero. Okay. So, this grand, horrible event has resulted in time fuckery. Like, imagine if you take every human accomplishment on your stat sheet, right? You got your D&D stat sheet of, like, abilities, and you scratch them all out, but you gain one that's time fuckery. Now you have them all, plus more, right? In a way. I'm going to bring it up one more time, but because people have heard me talk about this before, but Plague of Gripes told me about a villain from a show, and I'm not going to spoil for anybody that's possibly still going to or whatever, but it's a villain's motivation in a show that I found to be one of the most interesting ones I've ever heard, where effectively the short version of it is that the villain is doing a bunch of horrible shit to try and get the ability to go back in time, right? Okay. They lost something, I imagine, like their family, and so there was like a tragic past, and they're on a warpath and basically doing whatever they can to get the ability to rewind time, right? And no matter how horrible the deeds they are doing in the present may get, if you let me get to the point that
I can revert all of
it'll never have happened. So it doesn't matter how evil I am now.
Oh, that is sick.
Isn't that the best?
That is so
sick. Isn't that airtight?
Yeah.
It's like, please let me win, and this will all be okay. And it's like, no, but we can't, whatever the reasons are for resisting, it's like, but now you're making these bad things actually happen.
Yeah.
Right? In my mind, none of these things happen because I'm going to undo them.
Yeah.
So I can get as awful as I need to in the process. It's really interesting. Wow. Really, really interesting. Fantastic motivation for a villain, right? If Kojima is pointing at the fucking stands here before he Babe Ruths it, this might be an implication, perhaps, that, like, even though America's all fucked, gaining the ability to, one, transmit data immediately, two, literally fuck with time, means they can undo Control-Z the entire problem, and maybe more, right? We will go back to the way things were, and have the ability to go back to our origins and solve any problems we needed from the past. I mean, how awesome would it be to just be like, hey, what are you fighting over? Was it a problem based on what? Are you fighting over something that somebody in the past told you to do that we are now hundreds, if not thousands of years away from it?
Yeah.
Hundreds of years is the Constitution. Thousands of years is Jesus Christ, right? However the fuck you want to go with it. We can go back as far as you want to go and go see exactly what it looked like. And then go, oh, see, look, there it is. Now we know what to do.
Yeah.
And just end those problems, right? You could do a lot with time. You could do a lot with time, you know? But it might be interesting to look at this whole thing in the frame of reference where you could actually get back everything and then, like, add the house pot to the pile. Because the one thing you gained, which is time control.
Yeah.
Time fuckery.
That's OP.
Is beyond OP.
Yeah.
Time fuckery gives you access to star. Everything that has ever is yours to control. You know, that's a really high stakes item to throw into the equation.
Drones and the singularity. Yep, the bot is good to go. We're putting it through some field tests within the network service area. Should have the results before long. Delivery efficiency within a given region is expected to improve following a successful Cupid connection as well. No, that won't be a problem. The bot's just a cargo carrier. Human input is required to accept orders and set coordinates. Drone syndrome shouldn't be a factor. And the singularity? Not a chance. Well, think about it. AI doesn't die. It might get upgraded or replaced, but that's not at all comparable to death. So it has no reason to fear it, you see. The concept is completely foreign, incomprehensible. Death comes to all living things, but only humans have the capacity to understand the implications, to imagine what it means to no longer exist. That's one limitation AI won't ever overcome. That's the reason it won't ever surpass human intelligence.
So Kojima is simultaneously trying to let us know that don't worry, the threat of the malevolent AI is not one we have to be concerned about. We don't have to worry about the Skynet problem, even though that was the entire premise of Metal Gear Survive, which is hilarious. That is super funny to think about, that he's literally saying, yeah, that bullshit does not exist in this world.
Happened, yeah.
The Metal Gear they made after he left, he's 100% denying it with this type of talk right here. So that's some funny shit.
Not a chance.
Completely unintentional, I'm certain. But the idea here that they're also just kind of going, hey man, these robots can carry some stuff, but nothing really important. It's really just like, nah, though, Sam, it's the connections that matter. And he's like, but why? Physically, what's stopping the important items from going on the back of that robot carrier? And I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, you're not giving me a direct answer to why those robot legs can't carry the important shit too. Or have a bunch of them in line. But nah, don't the feelings matter more, Sam? Doesn't it feel good to feel accomplished? Says Die Hard Man. Oh, Jesus. Prepper interview, the engineer. My horizons aren't exactly broad. That said, I'm not completely cut off from the outside world. I knew what Bridges was, that they're trying to rebuild America. But when you're living down here, it's hard to see how that's got anything to do with you and yourself. Am I right? My folks holed up in this shelter after the Death Stranding. Had a kid and raised him in their slice of paradise. Together we lived off of whatever Fragile Express was kind enough to bring our way. Told me tales about the good old days, and I've never had much of an imagination. What is a line break? Holy shit. Couldn't see how a country long gone was any concern of me and mine. As far as I figured, Fragile Express was happy to keep us bringing stuff. Didn't need anybody else, and we certainly didn't need America, whatever that even was. But then one day, I was looking at part of this machine my dad put together. He was an engineer too, and I noticed something said, "Made in the USA." Right there in that tiny print. Got me thinking that America might not exist anymore, but the stuff Americans built is still around, making our lives a little bit easier even now. You could say the old country lives in its work. In its works. Kind of how my folks live on in me. They died a while back. Anyway, if they were American, I guess that makes me American too. Maybe the shelter was part of it all. Once I realized that, I started pouring my heart into building stuff to help you guys put the country back together. Why is Hideo Kojima being so patriotic in this plot? This is so staggering. Maybe I shouldn't think too hard about it. He's making the setting, and the characters.
Maybe it's just these people.
And the characters in the setting are doing what they believe in, and that's it. That's it. It's a very strange thing from the outside, but yeah, let's not overthink it too much. It's the lifeblood of every moment of this game is America.
Hey, you mean it's hard to deny that America has a big influence on the rest of the world.
The largest.
Yeah.
In history.
Yeah. There's no empire that had that much influence on the rest of the world.
The interesting thing. Remember I had a conversation about this on a podcast once, but I remember we were talking about what would it be like for Americans to play a game that went this national into a different culture? Right? Would it feel... And I guess you do that when you go into like, you know, there's like whatever, like anything that goes hard samurai or whatever, but something that is a completely like unknown to you thing that's way inside. Like, would you just bounce off? Would you just kind of go like, I don't understand what you're getting at here or where this is coming from? You know, where the national pride is worn on its sleeve.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It's an interesting thought. Anyway,
I don't think they would care.
I don't know. If the story was good in the end, then it might be. But there definitely would be a lot of like confusion. I know I'd be confused. You know, like I'm sure if we went and watched an extremely British show, you know, that went into the ins and outs of British politics, followed by rugby drama.
Sure.
Or soccer drama. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
The hooligans.
You know what I mean.
All right.
People getting into fights over the colors of their scarves because they represent soccer teams. You know?
Oh, we got that in the States too. You're wearing blue? Wearing blue, boy?
Oh, well, yeah. If you're a Philly fan, if you're an Eagles fan, then you got some teeth marks in your knuckles.
That's right.
From those
Fuck
games.
the Cowboys.
And of course, we live in Montreal, where we will burn a cop car for winning.
Winning the Stanley Cup.
For winning the Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
we will burn a cop car.
Yeah, fair.
In effigy.
Yeah.
You know,
mean,
never mind losing.
We need that. Terrorists posing as Fragile Express couriers. The terrorists have been at it again lately. You heard, right? About how they've been sneaking in on and out of cities disguised as Fragile Express couriers. We'll have another disaster on our hands at this rate. But it's not like we can just cut them out. We need Fragile's people to keep on doing what they're doing. We rely on those guys for a lot, though maybe we shouldn't. I hear they're transporting weapons now. Why they'd be so stupid, I can't imagine. Spreading shit around that kills in a world where the dead are ticking BT bombs?
Yep.
Sure, terrorists are a threat, and mules are a royal pain in the ass, but what genius figured escalation was the way to go when we all know where it leads? We need weapons, no, tools, that can take down the bad guys without killing them. And we need the hardware in circulation gone yesterday. We can't keep folks from dying in accident or getting sick. Line. Thank you. We can't keep them from dying, period. But the deaths we can put off, we out to. Violence isn't just ugly, it's damn near suicidal in this day and age, which is why I'm looking to make a bunch of less than lethal gear in the hopes that it'll prevent a few idiots from getting themselves and others killed.
You know, I was just listening to a podcast where someone brought up that if we lived in a world where anyone could make a nuke out of their microwave, right? Anyone could just take a microwave and make a nuke. At what point would it be worthless to start to try rebuilding cities?
In the sense of just giving up?
Why even bother? Right?
Damn.
You would have to find a way to survive around that.
It's kind of like the gun problem.
But to the maximum, right? Just extrapolate to the end result.
Yeah.
If anybody,
nuclear bombs for everybody. Oprah style.
If anybody on a bad day has the ability to murder an entire city of people, and it's just that easy, right? Why? At what point would you just tap out from rebuilding? You know?
Damn.
Almost immediately, because life has changed. The circumstances are gone. You know, it's just that it is interesting to think about like terrorism in this world as like anytime you want something bad enough in this world, you have to threaten with violence, right? You know the stories about how when you say what is the law, like every time you make a law and you pass it, you have to be willing to kill somebody for it because of the escalation principle of a parking ticket. Are you willing to kill someone over a parking ticket? Does that sound worthy?
No.
Okay. But if someone refuses to pay your parking ticket, then what happens?
They go to jail, but like...
Well, they go to jail. How do they go to jail?
Yeah, they need to be called.
Okay, and then they don't answer.
Court, they don't answer, and then there's a warrant for their arrest.
And then you show up at their house.
And then show up at their house.
And then what?
And then they might say no.
And then what?
And then after it comes to violence.
Okay. That happened, by the way.
Yeah.
A lady got shot and killed for...
Not paying a parking ticket and not showing up to a subpoena.
Exactly.
Okay.
That literally happened, right? So, when you make a law that says, I'm giving you a parking ticket, you have to play it through to the end because the results are going to be that...
You're going to die.
If you are willing to enforce this, are you enforcing it with the thought process that you're willing to enforce it all the way, right?
And that's like, does that exclude prison?
Yeah, because if you have to get someone in the prison and they don't want to go, then it becomes a lethal situation. Then it becomes force.
Yeah.
Anytime a force is used, right? So in this world, force is, again, the way you coerce people into listening to what you have to say, right? It's the way, it's the violence is the rule of beasts, right? We threaten each other with bigger sticks to get each other to listen.
Yeah.
Now, if the point that I get to is one where I refuse to listen to you no matter what, and you don't like that, then you're going to have to take my life, which might result in this world.
Yeah. That is scary.
It changes the dynamic of how you can threaten people and what you can do. Because anything's a threat. I can put a knife to my throat. And that has different weight in this world than it does regularly.
Yeah.
You know? It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought.
That is scary.
Very. Me, I used to be an ecologist. Emily thought highly of me and my wife's research into timefall's effects on plant life. She was one who could... She was the one who suggested it could be used to boost agricultural production. See, timefall radically altered the ecosystem of the entire continent. Obvious. I know, just as it's obvious we're powerless to stop it. So we had the idea of trying to use it to our advantage instead. Make the environment better, not worse. Easier said than done, though. Take void-out craters, for example. Local chiral density is generally higher in their vicinity, which correlates with increased timefall. With all that exposure, you'd think that they'd turn lush and green again before you know it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite pan out that way. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Nothing grows in any of them. Might be the timefall's done something with the soil, but the truth is, I don't have a clue, which is one of the reasons why me and the missus were conducting our research. Gotta say, for the record, it hadn't crossed our minds that timefall could be used to help grow food. That idea was Emily, so credit it where it's due. Sis was that smart. Wow. America was that smart. The person. Nothing grows. So that undoes a bunch of theories right there that we were just talking about. But fermentation isn't necessarily the same.
Okay.
Well, fermentation is growth, but it's growth via
yeast and whatever?
decomposition, right? Well, not decomposition, but like it's like accelerating rot, you know? So... Interesting. Controlled rot is part of the process. So anything that you can age with that works with timefall, but actually accelerating and growing things is not working. Okay. Well, what can we grow from bacteria? Penicillin? Antibiotics?
Yep. Well, it's necessary.
Not really great. Not farming that much. Can make some good ass natto.
Cool.
or
I have yet to try it.
Kimchi. We could make some good kimchi. You know, cheese. Cheese is good. Yeah, but nothing new.
An unknown man's journal. Okay, journal number 1. Writing year unknown even. Today I made a delivery to a shelter near Middle Knot City. It was my longest trip to date, a new personal best. Back when I was starting out, people tried to warn me off the life, saying it was dangerous for prepper youngins to make runs, and that no one would ever really trust me. But what was I supposed to do? Kids without parents need to eat too, and it's not like I had any skills. 2 arms, 2 legs, whole lot of grit, that's all I had to offer. Worked out okay so far. I bring people what they need, and in return, they do right by me. The more deliveries I make, the more orders I get. Never a porter around when you need one, so as long as you don't fuck up too badly, someone ought to throw you a bone. Helps that I've got a sixth sense for BTs too. Pretty rare that. It's probably one of the reasons why I get so much work. Sometimes people praise me, tell me I'm doing society a service by helping my fellow man. Can't say that factors into it. I'd sooner keep to myself if I could, but I've got to survive somehow, and I sure as hell ain't gonna manage by myself.
All right.
Not any information off of that, man.
Talking about porting. Another prepper kicked the bucket. Went to deliver his medicine as usual this morning, but I guess I was pretty damn late. Poor guy wasn't just dead, but on the verge of going necro. Wasn't no time to take him to an incinerator, so I had to dump him in nearby BT territory. Better than leaving him to pop, especially since my own shelter is close by. Gotta look out for number one. When I dumped him, though, just before he popped, it was like a cloud. I could feel the BTs reacting to the corpse. Saw the beach, too. Strangest thing, but I'd felt it before. When I first disposed of someone, the sensation was stronger this time. Though, no doubt about it. Don't know what this means. I've got dooms, but I'm starting to think there's something special about me. This is Sam's journal.
You think? Okay. A delivery outfit. Oh, yeah, because he was there before, right?
This is probably Sam's journal.
A delivery outfit out west heard tell of my BT sensing abilities and has expressed an interest in bringing me on board. Seems they operate outside Bridge's sphere of influence, and they want to leverage my experience and know-how to expand their operation. Could be interesting. It's funny, I started making runs out of necessity to stay alive, but that's all changed. I'm an altruist now. I live to help other people. Preppers around these parts rely on me. Hell, they wouldn't last 5 minutes without me. What would my daddy say if he could see me now, He taught me man's his own keeper. But here I am, part of a community, working with other people, bringing the world together. Daddy always told me that the wide, wide world was dangerous, that we had to stay in our shelter, spend our whole life there, die there. Well, fuck that. Community is what it's all about.
That's not Sam.
That's what okay, yeah.
Sam wouldn't say community is what it's all about.
I mean, it would be weird to have like an unknown man's journal and like not be like, anyway.
Buddy of mine died today. He was out in the mountains on a delivery. It was so goddamn foggy, I guessed he lost sight of the trail. Called me, asked for help, but the line went dead. I saw the void out from here. Nearly blinded me. Guess he wandered into BT territory. There's not many of us porters left these days. Not many you could trust to get the job done anyway. Folks quitting or dying, going mule. Attrition's a bitch. If we're going to keep on, we're going to need better equipment and someone else who can track BTs. I can still manage sometimes, but my power is getting weaker. I can feel it. I just wish I knew what to do, because at this rate, I'm fucked. We all are.
Damn.
Well, now we got the Doom's blood. We got the blood and the shit and the poop. All you had to do was aim it at them.
Jesus.
Kiba style. Akamaru.
Just whip it out.
That's all you had to do the whole time, man. Interesting. Curious.
Well, interesting. Memory chips. Oh, do we have to deliver those, or are these like other things? Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are, yeah, okay. Yeah, these are real things. That we pick up, that we can drop off at the...
What's the last one at the bottom with the tag?
Unknown Man's Journal.
Okay, that's the one, yeah. Okay.
Secret Confessions of a Certain Someone. Access the interviews menu to learn more.
And we just checked those.
A certain someone. Someone who ported with dooms. So that's either Sam or Higgs right now. Until it narrows down.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
All right.
Or a person we've yet to meet.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Freaking Kojima, man. Like,
Also food for my stomach.
Yeah. You're due. Time to eat. Get fed.